Hey guys, today's story is about a DM that shuts down every decision that a player has, and railroads him to the point where he gives up. Hello all! Long-time lurker and first-time poster. This story happened to me this past Monday. To set the scene, during the lockdown in my state, I was craving something to do. And I started strolling through LFG and found someone who had an open spot. And I joined. And we played for about 6 or so months, and we had a great time. Then the DM lost all of his notes when something went wrong with his computer. So we had to start a new campaign. We voted to do a more dramatic and serious campaign this time around, as the last one, while fantastic, was also very silly, and we wanted to flex our drama muscles a bit. So I made a character, Victor, with a dark background. He was a Hexblade warlock / shadow magic sorcerer. His background was basically the Donner Party. He was the last man left alive while his acting troupe was stuck in a valley due to a blizzard. A dark-cloaked entity slowly lurked out of the white wastes towards Victor, and it asked Victor if he would like to survive this terrible fate. Victor, of course, said yes. But to do such, the only thing Victor had to do was consume his wife's corpse. After that, the entity would give Victor the powers and means to survive. Victor, horrified, began to think, well, if what this thing says is true, his wife would want him to survive. Right? He would have wanted her to take the deal if the roles were reversed, so he did the unthinkable. The entity smiled under its hood, and Victor felt the meat warming his body from the inside out. What Victor didn't know was that as a part of this dark pact, he would forever hunger for human flesh. Later on, Victor, in a fit of hunger, killed some innocent drunk outside of a tavern to sate his maddening hunger, if for but a moment. When he looked down at his blood-soaked hands, he realized just what he had done. What he had become, a monster. He made rules for himself. He would never kill an innocent person just to eat. He would only kill those who were bad people, that no one would miss. And if it meant going hungry for days on end, then so be it. I discussed this with the DM, and I told him that Victor was ashamed of what he had become, and would go to great lengths to hide this from everyone. I also told him that I would like to implement a rule where if Victor didn't consume flesh at least once a day, then he would take a point of exhaustion. Now, I guess here's where I messed up. I didn't explicitly tell the DM that I didn't want the other players to know. Personally, I prefer this for nearly all of my backstories, as I think if the player finds out at the same time as their character, then it would lead to more genuine reactions. I would never make a backstory just for shock value, nor would I ever make a character with a disruptive backstory or playstyle. But I like to play my backstories close to the chest until the character began feeling comfortable with the party, with some taking much longer than others. So the first session went off without a hitch. We got into a town that our mission would be in and stayed the night at an inn. The innkeeper provided dinner for us, and I sent a PM to the DM stating, "Since this food isn't human flesh, it tastes like ash in Victor's mouth, and he'll pretend to eat it while throwing it out."
Roll a sleight of hand check.
22.
Perfect!
In Session 2, we had been taken to a magical school where our guide NPC was a professor at. The school was having a party that night for all of the local guild leaders and wealthy donors. After the party was finished, we would stay behind with all the most important figures of this pseudo-council of elders to discuss this earth-shattering event that happened at the end of the first session. During the party, this Drow woman walked up to Victor, and in the group voice chat, the DM had her say,
I know you're in a pact with a demon.
Excuse me?
I also know that as part of that pact, you hunger for human flesh.
What?
I can help you.
It turns out that the DM had rolled an Arcana check for this NPC and rolled a nat 20, which meant that just by looking at Victor, she knew that he was in a dark pact, and that the pact required him to consume flesh. At this point, I was mildly annoyed as it had been said in the group voice chat for everyone to hear. But I kept on as my character was good at deception and could weasel his way out of this. When the party was over, and all but the most important people left, we had a meeting. It was going fairly smoothly until the Drow woman spoke up and announced to the whole adventuring party, and all of the important people, that again, my character, was, in fact, in a pact with a demon, and hungered for flesh. Victor, being a meek and meager man, exclaimed, "You're a liar." She replied,
We can help you at this school. You just need to trust us.
Victor slammed his fist down on the table and left the room, leaving the school grounds out into the city beyond. The DM asked me to make a wisdom save as the stress of what had happened was causing Victor to grow hungry, which was something that we never actually discussed. I failed the roll, and he described how I saw a drunk leaving a tavern, and he looked delicious. I asked if the man was acting evilly, to which he informed me he was not. So I said Victor would pass. He had me roll another wisdom save, and I passed. The next morning, we were all at breakfast, and the Drow woman walked up to the adventuring party's table. As soon as he saw her, Victor stood up and left. She followed him out of the dining hall and stopped him. Noticing that some of the party had followed, Victor refused to speak to her. So she spoke to him telepathically and told him that he didn't need to hide his secret here, and that they could help him. Victor was furious.
You told everyone my secret. Do you know how long I have been keeping it? How hard I have worked to conceal it from everyone? And then you go and just tell everyone. You've ruined everything I've worked for. Well, we can't have a cannibal roaming school grounds. There are kids here. We need to keep them safe. Then I'll leave. I don't want your help. Now you know you can't leave. You're school property because of that tattoo that showed up on your hand.
At this, Victor ran off, furious, frustrated, and scared at the way the group of important people reacted to finding out what he was. While running down the hallway, he passed a group of students. I was told to make another wisdom save, and I failed. To which the DM said, they looked good, and you're hungry. So I kept running. The party members who had followed Victor out into the hall,
See Victor, look at this group of students he's passing, and he looks hungry.
Victor started frantically opening doors, looking for an empty room. He had some emergency meat in his pack. He eventually found an empty bathroom. However, Red, who was our astral self monk, followed behind stealthily, and saw the room that Victor stepped into. They also saw the headmaster, with a newspaper under his arm, heading for that same door, and stopped him, but was unsuccessful in stopping him for long, and he eventually made his way into the bathroom, wherein he found Victor with the contents of his bag splayed out on the floor, frantically searching his pack for his emergency meat.
Son, what are you doing?
Looking for my drugs. I need them.
This is a school. We have a strict no drug policy here. I think he means medicine.
Red piped up. Yeah, and I'm also not a student. I'm an adult.
Well, yes, but the rules still apply to you.
At this, the headmaster, who was an 8-foot-tall behemoth of a human man, grabbed Victor's pack and saw the meat in there.
What is this?
Give me my bag.
Now, son, I can't do that. This is awful. We need to get you some help. I don't want your help. I don't even want to be a part of this school or this team. Give me my bag and I will leave. No can do, son. You're school property because of that tattoo on your hand.
At this, Victor cut off the skin on the back of his hand and tossed it at the headmaster. As soon as he did such, another tattoo showed up on Victor's other hand. The headmaster hoisted the bag high above Victor's head.
We need to get you help. We can't have someone like you roaming around school grounds. Think of the children.
Fine. He's holding my bag above my head?
Yes.
Is he facing me?
Yes.
I kick him in the groin so that he doubles over, grab my bag, and leave. However, before I could do such, Red intervened and rolled higher to stop Victor from doing so. At this point, I gave up. I can always get more meat, so I tried to leave. I opened the door, and the headmaster grabbed me. I asked the DM, "Can I see outside of the door?"
Yes.
I then told him I thunderstep 90 feet out of the door, and then immediately go invisible and run away. As soon as I turned a hallway and got to the end of it, the lights began flashing red, and wards went up all over the doors and windows. My invisibility also got dispelled, so I had a choice of hiding in a broom closet, a classroom, or the vents. I went with the vents because those connect to the other parts of the school. That way I can escape easier. Then the teachers got together, and the headmaster handed my pack off to the Drow woman. She opened it and exclaimed, "Just as I thought! Human meat!" As she took all of the meat out in front of the party and tossed it on the ground. The party attempted to stick up for me, but the teachers were having none of it. The rogue tried to fight the Drow, and was immediately hold-personed. The Drow asked our guide NPC to use Locate Creature to find me. Every time I thought I escaped, there was some new bullcrap that said, no. Luckily, I was in the vents in the walls. There were water pipes in the walls that blocked the Locate Creature spell. He informed everyone that he couldn't locate me, and the party asked how they could cast spells when everyone else couldn't. At this, they all brought out pendants that allowed them to bypass the dispelling enchantments, and they gave one to Red. They asked the party to find me and talk some sense into me. They're not mad at the party, as they know everything they've done was to help their friend. They think that talking might ease me and allow me to come to my senses and get the school's help. We ended the session there, and honestly, I was incredibly annoyed. Partially because I got very into character, and that Drow announcing to everyone what Victor was a bit messed up, and partly because the DM told the whole group my secret backstory 2 sessions into the campaign, and partly because everything I attempted to do would immediately get shut down. That night, I messaged the DM and told them flat out that the session wrote me the wrong way, and I can see 2 courses of action here. 1, Victor escapes the school and runs away, and I play a new character. Or 2, if escape is impossible, then Victor will kill himself, and I'll play a new character. I'm sure it's childish, but now that everyone knew the backstory, before I was ready to tell them, I don't even want to play the character anymore. The DM had asked me if there was any room for Victor maybe accepting the help, and I told them that had this happened later on in the campaign, that there was a strong possibility. But considering that Victor had only known these people for about a week, at most, he was nowhere near comfortable enough in them knowing what he was. And the reactions of the people who found out confirmed to Victor that he was, in fact, a monster. So that was my last session, and honestly, I'm still kind of salty about it. I spent a week making the character perfect. I knew there was a risk of the other players finding out, but I would have preferred they find out because Victor slipped up and got caught, rather than them just being told. I don't know. Maybe I'm just upset that things didn't go my way. But either way, that's my horror story. If you've gotten this far, I appreciate it.
But in any case, guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. And if you have a story that you'd like me to narrate, let me know. And as always, thanks for watching, and have a good one.